going?
Swimming!
Some bad hat, Harry.
It's a great white.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
1,100 men went into the water.
You son of a...
Thanks for joining us, Judy. So you're a Grammy-nominated artist. What made you say yes to kindly re-recording our 12 Days of Jawsmas?
I just thought, wow, this is like the confluence of everything I love, music and Jaws and Christmas.
Yeah.
So when you gave me the opportunity, I jumped at it because I thought, how fun will this be? And then I said to my husband, I said, they have thousands and thousands and thousands of viewers. The thing that's going to make me famous is the 12 Days of Jawsmas.
Wow, well, we'll try our best. We'll try our best, definitely. So, I think you even mentioned it on Twitter the other day, saying that it's going to be your most significant achievement in Jaws fandom.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks for putting your kind of heart and soul into it. And it's, I think, certainly fantastic that we've got someone who can actually sing doing it this time.
I used kind of a spoofy classical voice, to try to make it sound British.
Oh, okay. You didn't have to go for the whole British thing, but no, I did get that vibe coming through, definitely.
Oh, yes. Good. Well, I've been watching The Crown, here in the States, and so I've been getting all into the UK culture.
Okay, no, great stuff. So, obviously, I guess you've been a Jaws fan for a long time.
I was 16 in the summer of 1975, so that gives you an idea of how old I am. And, we had heard a lot about it because my family was big into movies and my mother always bought movie magazines. So we knew it was coming, and I was there opening weekend with my older sister. And that was quite an experience, let me tell you, to be seeing Jaws for the first time with a theater full of people, because we all jumped, for the first time when Ben Gardner's head popped out. We all jumped for the first time when he went chumming, and hearing the music for the first time. I mean, there were people who actually got under their seats.
Yeah.
And I think it actually took me maybe 3 viewings because I just kept going back to the theater because I enjoyed going back to see it with people who hadn't seen it already.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That experience of watching them jump. It took me about 3 times to realize that if the shark music isn't playing, there's no shark. So yeah, then I realized that, like when they're doing the fake thing in the pond, not in the pond, but when the kids have the fake fins.
Yeah.
But I just kept going back. So I went back to the theater 16 times in the summer of 1975.
16, wow.
Well, back then, if you loved a movie, you couldn't even ever dream that you would actually own it.
Yeah,
and once it left a theater, you never knew when you'd ever see it again. Probably the next time would be on some random television station. It might be like a Friday night movie or whatever. You got to remember, this is before the days. I mean, we were, I think, just a few years away from getting cable. We still had network TV back then. So I was there the last night it showed. It was in October of 1975, and it was a school night, and my father dropped me off at the theater, and I was the only person in the theater.
Oh, wow.
Well, I had been playing all summer long, and that was also a rare thing because back then movies would come for a week or 2, and if they were a big hit, it would be held over, and so that was a big deal too. And then the next time I saw it, I didn't see it again until 1986 when I had to catch it on TV. And I went, oh, Jaws! Oh my God!
And have you seen it on the big screen since 75?
Oh yeah. Many times. When I lived in New Hampshire, I just moved away from New Hampshire. There was a local cinema pub that would show it every summer. They'd have Jaws Week, and they would show it every summer. And the last one they did, I was the host. I actually contacted them and volunteered. I said, I bet you're not going to find anybody who knows more about Jaws around here and who is going to be more enthusiastic than me. So I did it, and we gave away prizes. It was really fun.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, you say you kind of one of the last times you saw it on its original run was in October 75. Well, that was when I was born, October 75. But certainly, I know certainly here in the UK, it didn't actually open here until Boxing Day 1975, which is day after Christmas. So
yes,
December 26th was when it
That's
opened.
really odd. I can't imagine it opening in the winter.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Although apparently it was originally scheduled to open in the US over Christmas 1974, but
Oh,
obviously
that's right.
with the delays
That's
and
right.
things, obviously that kind
Because
of
that's when they used to open all the big movies at Christmas time.
right.
Jaws was,
Okay.
as I'm sure you know, Jaws was the first blockbuster, the first big summer movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we know you're a big Jaws fan, and obviously, how long have you been following the Daily Jaws for?
I've lost track of time. Maybe 3 years. When did you start it? When did you start it?
Yeah, I think. Oh, crikey! No, you're putting me on the spot. I should know that, shouldn't I? Yeah, and I think that's like 3 or 4 years. So
yeah,
you're kind
you
of
had
one of
been
the
up and running for a
start.
while when I found you, but you do so many cool Jaws things, like the Jaws we make. I loved that, even though my scene got cut a little bit.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, but it's. That's great. I mean, actually, it's me and my wife. We did some of the voiceover work on your actual scene when it was like, "I want my cut back," and you'll get it. That was actually me. So yeah. So,
I love it. And I love you just do everything. With the year that you did the news, that you did the little news things, the news updates from Amity. That was
right. Yes. Yeah.
That was really fun too. You do a lot of things to keep the Jaws fandom going and to help us interact with each other. And I love that because, I haven't really met that many people in real life who are as fanatical about Jaws as I am. In the summer of 1975, my mother was out shopping somewhere and she bought me a Jaws necklace. It's I should have brought it with me, but it's packed. We just moved, so it's still packed somewhere. But it's the shark head from the poster. And when I went to the Grammys, I had a designer gown and I wore that necklace.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that.
Yep,
I love
I
that.
said, I want to remember who I really am. I'm just this kid that loves Jaws. So I walked down the red carpet at the Grammys wearing my Jaws necklace.
Oh, I love that. And what was your Grammy nomination for? I mean, that's brilliant that we've got someone Grammy nominated who's kind of re-recorded.
It was for Best Children's Album. I am known primarily here as a children's musician. Although I have a large following with Christmas music as well, so that's why I say Christmas music is a big thing. In fact, I came to the UK because there's a decorator in Wales who his name is Paul Toole, and he synchronizes his lights to music. So you can go up to there was a television show on King of Christmas Lights or something that he was on a few years, maybe about 8 years ago, maybe. But anyway, he invited me to come to England and put on a concert at his display. I have a song called The House on Christmas Street, which it describes the overly decorated houses. And he loves it, and he used it in his display, and he invited me to come to England and put on a concert, and he paid my whole trip. I went there twice. I went twice, and it was a hoot. It was really fun both times.
That's fantastic. And I think I've seen as well. I think I've seen you kind of post that on your Twitter, and that's got a huge amount of views. And I think it's something like 247,000 views.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I'm trying to get it up to 250,000 this year. So anybody watching us, it's The House on Christmas Street. Look it up on YouTube.
We'll make sure that we include a link to it in kind of the article that kind of wraps around this as well, so everyone will get a chance to kind of see the video and see yourself in that as well.
I want to thank you for inviting me to do the 12 Days of Jawsmas, because it's really, I can't describe how much fun and what an honor. And just to be a part of it, to be like an official part of it, is so exciting to me, because I've just loved Jaws for all my life. And people say, why do you like that movie so much? It's so gory. And I said, gory? I don't even think about that. To me, Jaws is not a horror movie. It's
it's got all sorts of elements, hasn't it? It's got those kind of horror, it's got thriller, it's drama, humor. So
I see it as an adventure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's those three guys out on the boat. I mean, obviously everything that comes before as well that sets the stage. But I see it as an adventure, and maybe a lot of it has to do with the score for me, because I'm so musically inclined. But that score, John Williams has done a lot of brilliant scores, and certainly other musicians have as well. But to me, there's no finer score than Jaws. in terms of how it sets the stage for every scene. I mean, that whole medley when the tourists are coming in for the 4th of July, that's my favorite piece in the whole movie, is that little, you know, it just goes on and on like that.
It's such a happy piece of music as well in a film that, you know, obviously people predominantly kind of know it for the actual Jaws theme, but I think, you know, the music throughout, whether it's especially when they're out at sea, you know, it's very sort of corn goldy, and it's all very kind of, as you say, pirates and adventure, isn't it? It's very uplifting.
I remember the first time I realized that the barrels weren't right. If you count, I became obsessed with counting the barrels when they're out at sea, because at one point there's supposed to be 3, but there are 4. And have you ever noticed that?
No, I'll have to look out for that.
Oh,
I'll have to stick it on after this.
Yes, you have to keep track. I'll give you another excuse to watch the movie.
Yeah,
you have to keep track of the barrels. You really do.
And also, I think as well, you know, you doing this song, I think perhaps will mean a lot more to people this year than any other year, because I think, you know, as you've already mentioned about the Jaws remake, obviously that only came about because people were in lockdown and kind of stopping at home predominantly and things like that. So it was about trying to keep people entertained, and obviously it's been an awfully long year for a lot of people.
You know, we were going to come to England to see the show, to see the
The Shark is Broken.
The Shark is Broken. We were going to come, and then COVID hit. Devastating.
Yeah. No, we had tickets as well. I mean, obviously we got to see one of the preview shows in Brighton, which we covered at the time, but yeah, I think we'd got tickets for, it might have even been for July 4th, I think. So I think we'd got tickets for kind of, obviously which obviously fitted in quite nicely for that kind of for kind of when Jaws is set and things. But
right.
I mean, hopefully it will be back when kind of theatres and things are back. But I guess
Mr. Shaw must have been devastated as well. All of us in the performing arts had our livelihood swept right out from under our feet. So, you know, it's been great for me too to have, I mean, usually at Christmas time, I'm out on the road doing concerts. Yeah. And it's a very strange time of year for me to not be going out on the road. So to have this project coming out, it's a bright spot for me as well.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you again. And I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of Jaws fans everywhere when we say that you know, they're bound to love your rendition of it. Obviously, as you know, as we've heard, you're kind of really into Jaws and things, but you've even had like Jaws themed vehicles. I don't mean they've been in the shape of sharks or anything, but they've all had like Jaws number plates or Jaws names, haven't they? So you had, was it Orca 2?
It was Orca 2, and it didn't have that name the whole time. It was once I went over, I think 400,000 miles. I decided that it needed the vanity plate to fit. You know, Quint's boat is kind of, it's been there, done that, right? Mm-hmm. When you meet the Orca, it's like, that's a boat that's been used. And so I thought when I went over 400,000 miles, it would be fitting to have that plate. So it was the Orca 2, and I went over 600,000 miles in that vessel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but then finally the repairs, it just got to be too much. So I donated it to a local organization called the Good News Garage, which provides vehicles to people who need them but can't afford them. And it wasn't usable, but they auctioned it off and got, I don't know, quite a bit of money for the organization. So I was happy that the Orca kept on giving. And now I have a used RAV4, which is named Captain Quint.
Brilliant.
Oh yeah, anything Jaws oriented that I can get in my life, I love.
No, that's great.
Oh, can I tell you something funny? Can I tell you something funny? So my other obsession in life for my whole life has been the Carpenters. I don't know if you know the Carpenters, but they were a musical act in the 70s when I was a teenager. And I do a cabaret show. This is totally separate from all my other music. I do a cabaret show, which is called built by the Carpenters. It's called All My Best Memories, built by the Carpenters. And it talks about my childhood, growing up as a Carpenters fan. And at one point, I'm toward the end of the show, and I talk about how I had been living in a single girl apartment, and I lost my job, and my life was kind of falling apart. And I established early on that my mother was kind of a tough person to live with. So when I say my mother wanted me to move back home, my accompanist just plays 2 notes on the piano. Da-dum. And everybody starts laughing. I just say, my mom wanted me to move back home. Da-dum. It's the best part of the show.
Oh, brilliant. Well, exactly, as you said earlier about John Williams, it's amazing those 2 notes,
Right.
they say so much to people.
Yes,
It
they
kind of
do.
transcends the film, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Mm.
Yep. I wrote him a fan letter.
Oh, wow.
After I got the soundtrack, and I was just listening to it over and over again, and I wrote him a fan letter, and I sent it to the address that was on the back of the record album, and he wrote back to me, and he said the reason he wrote back was because his father was born in my hometown. So when he saw the postmark, saw my return address, he said, his father was born in Maine, where I grew up, and he wrote a very nice letter. I still cherish it. Yep.
Fantastic. Obviously, and you just mentioned about writing to John Williams, but you've also met Richard Dreyfuss, haven't you?
I did. I met him in 2018 at a Comic Con in Rhode Island, and I didn't have a lot of money. I had to choose between doing the meet and greet, autograph meet and greet, or the picture. And I brought my shark, and I did the picture. And I'm always trying to think of a way when I meet a celebrity, because I just happen to have met a lot of them, to make my encounter with them memorable for them. Rather than shove something in their face and ask them to autograph it. So when I was on my way there, I was thinking about all his other movies besides Jaws, because I thought everybody probably talks to him about Jaws. So I thought about what he won his Oscar for, which was The Goodbye Girl. And so when I met him, he shook my hand, and I leaned into his ear, and I sang the first few lines of the chorus, of the first verse. All my life I've waited for you to come, for you to come along. And he looked at me and he said, I haven't heard the lyrics to that song in 40 years. And it was great. And then we took our picture with this guy.
Excellent. I think I've seen that on Twitter as well. So it's a great picture.
Yeah. And then last spring, I talked with Jeffrey Kramer for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to be doing a con, so I paid some money to talk to him. That was really exciting because Hendrix is my favorite Jaws character.
Yeah. Why is he your favorite character, would you say?
Well, I was 16 and I thought he was cute. Plus, I always kind of went for the goofy guys, and he's kind of a goofy guy, right? I mean, he's kind of like he sits down after he finds Chrissy's hand, and he just kind of is like, and then he's drinking the Alka-Seltzer, and then he's like, what's wrong with my printing? He's just sort of a goofy character. He's kind of standing around while all the fishermen are going out to try to catch the shark, and Chief Brody throws the rocks at the window or whatever it is. What is he shooting at the window anyway?
I always thought it was little stones. I don't know if it's little stones or peanuts. I don't know. I should have asked him when I got to speak to him.
Yeah, because he's there in the shack, and he throws the things in the window, and Hendrix comes in and he's kind of like, these aren't my people, they're from all over. And he's just so goofy. I just love that character. So that was a real treat getting to speak with him.
What did you get to speak to him about?
Well, I asked him, I had just watched Jaws 2. And for the first time, because I haven't watched Jaws 2 as much as I've watched Jaws, but I had just watched it, and that was the first time I ever realized that they called him Jeff in that one scene where he comes over when Chief Brody is drunk. And so I asked him about that, and he said, he didn't understand why they left it in. He didn't even know. But he said once it happened, and then there are 2 different characters, because Ellen also calls him Jeff. First it's Brody, and he said, well, I just thought, he was in a bad mood that day. Roy Scheider was in a bad mood that day, and so he, but then she did it, and he said, I have no idea why they left it in. And then, he's a producer. He's a television producer now. So I pitched a project to him.
Wow, well, why not?
I used the last couple minutes, and we've been going back and forth on it. So who knows?
Wow, wow.
I don't want to say anything in jinx.
No, that's okay.
He was wonderful. He was wonderful. He was so nice. When I told him, you know, he came on the Zoom like you did, and I said, "And there you are," and he started laughing because he doesn't look that much different. You know,
he doesn't at all.
He really
No,
doesn't. And he said, you know, he was really happy. And he sounds exactly the same.
he does.
And, I said, you know, I went back to see Jaws so many times, and part of it was because I had a crush on you. And he was actually couldn't believe it. He said, I've never heard that before. I said, I don't believe that. I do not believe that he's never heard that. There's got to be other girls who thought he was cute.
Yeah. Maybe we'll ask people. And
yes,
we'll find out for you.
Yes,
yeah, we'll find out. Yeah. The as well, I think his voice is, again, it's just such a warm voice, full of warmth, and it, you know, after speaking with him for 5 minutes, it almost feels like you've kind of known him forever. Well, I suppose you have known him since you were 16, I suppose.
Well, in a way, yeah. That's a long time.
and how, talking of Jaws 2, how do you feel about the sequels? Do you watch it
I like Jaws 2. It's clearly not the classic that Jaws is, which is why I haven't watched it as many times. It really is a throwback to the era with the teenagers and their clothing and the whole thing. But Jaws 3D, I can't even begin to tell you how disappointed I was. I was in college by the time that came out, and I was so excited to see it. And I love Dennis Quaid. And I was just so excited to see it, and I thought it was awful. And I've never seen it since.
Okay.
And I did go see Jaws the Revenge, and same thing. I saw it in the movie theater, and I've never seen it since. I know a lot of people like those movies, but I just can't go there. I can't.
Have you seen all 4 Jaws films on the big screen? Wow, that's brilliant.
Well, most Jaws fans have, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah, I've only had a chance to see Jaws several times on the big screen, but not 2, 3, or 4. But they don't get played here very much.
Video, right? You've seen them on video.
Yeah, but not in sort of theatres and things.
Well, I guess that's the advantage I have of being so old.
Well, no, I wouldn't put it like that. No, but I mean, I just think it's great. It's great that you kind of at least kind of stuck with it and still went to go and see them on the big screen.
3D, because that was so much later, you know, and it was a whole different era in my life. I'm in college. I went with a bunch of my college friends, and we were all so very excited, and I just thought it was stupid, you know, and Jaws the Revenge was the ultimate in stupidity. Just, you know, I can see 2 sharks and Brody having his final, you know, that Jaws 2 had a different twist to it. It had the teenagers and all that. But no more after that. Come on.
Okay. Judy says no more.
I don't need to own it, and I would never. I want to say this while I have an international forum. If they ever do a remake with a digital shark, I will be outside with a sign protesting. Okay. I will be writing letters. There would just be no point. I've seen all these movies like The Meg. None of them compare. I mean, that shark, I know how many problems they had with it, but you can always tell when something is digital. You can always tell. I don't care how well they do it. And imagine if they did it now with a digital shark. It would be horrifying. There would be nothing about it. And this is the thing, Dean, that I always say. When I was a kid and before the real advent of CGI, we would always say in a movie, how did they do that? How did they do that? That shark looks so real, for example. Or somebody standing at the top of a tall building looking down and go, how did they do that? Now nobody says that anymore in a movie theater because they don't know how they do it. And I feel that something is lost. You know, I realize there's an art to doing it, but I feel for the moviegoer, something is really lost. That magic of practical effects, that magic. You're never going to recapture that magic with a digital shark.
No. And so I think as well, one of the other biggest stories from this year, Jaws-wise, has been the sort of return of Bruce and to Hollywood, and that he's going to be part of the Academy Museums. Is that something you think you'll be going to see?
I have already discussed it with my family. They open on April 30th, and hopefully we'll have our vaccine by then, and we'll be able to go. But oh, absolutely, that is my next trip. That is my next trip. I have to do that.
Well, we all need something to look forward to, so I think
Yes,
that's
right.
that's great. And I believe as well, 2021 is going to be quite busy for you as well because you've got a musical premiering digitally, haven't you?
Yes, I do. I have two musicals that I've
Right.
written. One was it's called Christmas with the Dead because my other big love is horror.
Right. Yeah.
And there's an author, his name is Joe Lansdale, and he is internationally famous, but kind of a cult figure as well. He's not a household name like Stephen King. And through a long story, I got, he did a movie 5 years ago of his book, Christmas with the Dead, which is about a zombie over infestation at Christmas time. And I got 2 songs on the soundtrack of that movie. And I met him at the premiere, and he told me he wanted to do a musical. And it ended up that he was so busy that I ended up adapting everything and writing the book for the musical and writing all the songs but one, because Joe's daughter is also a songwriter and she contributed one. That was going to go up in LA last summer. They had started the proceedings and then COVID hit.
Mhm.
Now, the next thing with that is we're working on an audiobook version of it. So that's in the works. But in the meantime, I had so much fun doing that I dusted off a musical that I had only written a draft for back when my daughter was in middle school, and now she's 31. It's called Girl on the Moon, and it's for teenagers. And that was also in production at a local school when the schools all shut down. So COVID was a huge, stumbling block in my way. But now we're doing a virtual version of it, and we just had our first rehearsal the other night. That's going to go up in February. So yeah, I'm excited because things are finally moving. But it has been a really, really down time for me and other performers, all over the world. We've lost most of our income, and and you miss having a live audience. You just miss it. Circling back to the 12 Days of Jawsmas, that was like, wow, I'm so excited, I have something to do. And it's fun, and it's Jaws, and it's Christmas, and it's, it's like my official, I don't know, I've just always been kind of a Jaws fan out here on my own, but now I feel like I'll be part of the Jaws culture. And that's exciting for me. Because you're a big part of Jaws culture, Dean. You guys, you and Ross are, you're like the kings of Jaws right now.
Thank you. Oh, well, we'll take that. The Kings of Jaws. Let me write that down.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what made you start the Daily Jaws?
Well, Ross started it. I think he just realised that there wasn't anyone, he had an obsession with Jaws, and he realised there wasn't anyone really doing anything about it. And then I kind of wrote a couple of things for it, and those couple of things ended up being lots of things. And then we're kind of where we are now, really, and we're kind of hoping for we're hoping to end the year out with like 200,000 views this year, just on the blog alone. I think the Jaws we make is currently up to 35,000 views and things. So it's just they say it just seem to keep on growing. We keep finding people keep wondering how we keep managing to kind of talk about different things, but obviously it's not just Jaws. It's the films related to everyone who's involved in it. Also a lot about shark conservation as well. So, it's a bit like what Spielberg says. We tried to do stuff that we'd like to see, like he said about making films. So we just continue to do that, and people seem to like a kind of quirky sense of humour and things as well. So I think, we try not to take things too seriously until we need to, and then I think there's a nice mix of things. And I think certainly this year that kind of sense of humour has hopefully helped quite a few people. And, there's been that kind of constant kind of Jaws family thing kind of going off, whether it's been someone based in the UK or the US like yourself, or Australia or anywhere else. So we know there's lots of followers worldwide. I think it's just great because, as you say, you don't often hear about people kind of loving Jaws, really. You do with like things like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or Star Trek, but you don't seem to get that with Jaws. Although now we do, and we've all found a home. So it's I think it's just quite nice to kind of find all these like-minded people worldwide, really.
Thank you for that. And
That's
you have some
right.
famous followers too, don't you? You have a few famous followers who are in there.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. There's that Judy Pancoast. She's quite famous, and there's yeah, we do. Yeah, I think Slash from Guns N' Roses, and there's Tony Todd who played Candyman. So yeah,
right.
there's a
And
few.
didn't I see? Is it Kevin Smith? Is it the Kevin Smith? You have a Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's following us, but I'm not sure if he is now. But he wasn't at some point. But obviously, we're getting new followers all
Yeah,
the time. So
pretty
yeah,
cool.
I think across all our social media now we've got something just over 100,000 followers. So it's a great place to be
Well,
at.
thank
And,
you. I like looking at is it Fantastic? What is it that you call the Uber Jaws fans? That
Fanatics, I think it is.
Fanatics, right?
Yeah.
Fanatics. Yeah, I love looking at those. Those are the people who really outdo me. Way.
But I think that's where it's nice because you get people who whether they're 8 years old and have inherited the love of it from their mum or dad, or you get people who are older who kind of really enjoy it, and it just seems to come out in many different ways. Whether it's someone decorating their bathroom like Jules, or someone who does a sort of Chevy Blazer and does it like Chief
Right.
Brody's.
Yeah.
Chief Brody's car
That
and
was
things
so
like that.
cool. That was the most recent one I saw.
Yeah.
And that was so cool. I love seeing those things. And I think, boy, I wish I had the time and dedication to do something like that, because that would be really fun. But we really, in our family, my husband even got into doing the Jaws we make. He made the little Amity billboard for me, which didn't make it into our part.
Yeah.
He was very disappointed, but when it's not decorated for Christmas, it's actually part of our decor here in the house.
Well, maybe I'll include that unedited clip in this article. So
great.
Oh yeah, no, we've still got it. Yeah, no, I kind of edited it all together. So that's yes, that's down to me, unfortunately. Yeah, so
Well, we had a lot of fun doing it, whether you included it all or not. It was really fun for us to do it.
Yeah, it was really difficult because obviously some people kind of overlapped with things, and we wanted to include as many people as possible. I think we had over 100 people who kind of got involved in it in the end, which I think is just fantastic. But yeah, I had to keep on going out in the garden and sort of filming bits and bobs. So yeah. Yeah, so I was like, oh no, I'm going to grow a moustache again, but some twink scenes. But yeah, I'm glad that people kind of enjoyed it, and I think.
How did you get introduced to Jaws?
Well, I always used to like to say, well, I think my mum read it in sort of 1974, 75. I was born October 75, so
She read the book.
Yeah, she read the book. Yeah, I think it might have been serialized in one of the papers here. But I used to like to say that I obviously kind of inherited the love of it through kind of osmosis, I guess. That it kind of just seeped in.
Incubated in Jaws.
Yeah, seeped into the womb. So hopefully, and then I think I kind of first saw it when it was broadcast on UK television in sort of 1981. So I would have seen some elements of it then. And didn't want to go in the bath for sort of several days afterwards and things. And it was the first VHS film that I ever bought in '87. So
me too.
Yeah, so no, I've always enjoyed it, and again, it was just nice to find the Daily Jaws. So I've kind of been writing for it ever since, really. But obviously, as well as you writing songs, I know you was talking about the horror musical and things. Is it right in saying you've also just sold your first horror story as well?
Yes, that's true. Yeah. I have been dabbling in writing, with COVID. Well, not dabbling. I actually, again, goes back to my song, The House on Christmas Street, and trying to find ways to make that song a hit. I actually wrote a book. It took me a long time, but I wrote a book called The House on Christmas Street with the idea of someday making it into a movie with the song that would make the song a hit. And once I did that, then I started to get back into writing short stories with a horror theme. And yeah, I had one accepted for a magazine in Maine. It's the Maine Horror Writers, and I'm originally from Maine, and they're putting out a journal. So I actually, you heard it here first, I actually had 2 stories accepted. One is in the inaugural issue, and then one will be in the summer issue. It takes place on the 4th of July.
So Maine, that's obviously Stephen King country, isn't it? He's a banger,
Yes,
isn't
yes.
he? Yeah.
As a matter
So
of fact, I used to work for him.
wow.
I was a radio DJ for 30 years, and he bought the radio station I worked for. So that was a fun period in my life.
Yeah. No, I bet. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another interview.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And I guess obviously with you being such an expert on Christmas and Jaws, obviously I have to ask you: is Jaws the
Oh,
Revenge a Christmas movie?
no. Neither is Die Hard. Come on. These people, a Christmas movie has to have something heartwarming about it. I mean, in my opinion, although, wait a minute. Black Christmas is a horror movie, and that's a Christmas movie. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I wouldn't call it. Of course, I only saw it the one time, but I don't put it on my list of movies that I'm going to watch at Christmas. Do you say, oh, it's Christmas time, let's break out the gingerbread and eggnog and watch Jaws: The Revenge?
I probably would, but then it's kind of what I do in my spare time.
Yes,
So
that's true. It would be so I'd be watching It's a Wonderful Life, So
yeah, no, that's a classic. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else you wanted to add, or anything else you think we've missed, Jaws wise?
I hope people will comment on the video. I haven't seen the video myself yet, so I don't know. It's going to be the same video you ran last year, right? With a different soundtrack?
Yeah, as you say, because I think because as you say, the kind of tempo is a bit quicker. We just had to kind of edit a few frames out here and there just to make sure that what you were singing about was appearing on screen at the same
I can't wait.
kind of time. But never know. Next time, maybe you're over here for visiting that guy's house in Wells and it's all lit up. Maybe we'll do our own 12 Days of Jawsmas Christmas video.
Oh my God, I would love that.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
That's a definite. Now, see, that's something to look forward to. That's definitely something to look forward to. Let's plan on that. I'll bring you.
With a Jeffrey Kramer cameo.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah, that'd be great. Well, I think his sons live over here, so you never know. Stranger things have happened.
Wow, that would be cool. I just hope people will leave comments, and I hope that they will share, because that's the thing that's going to get it out there and to all the Jaws fans. Just keep sharing it. Retweet.
Well, thank you ever so much for taking the time and talking to me today, and also especially for kind of sort of giving up some of your own time and re-recording the 12 Days of Jawsmas for you. We love it. So thank you from both of us and I.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do the song and also to do this interview with you, because this is really fun. I've been really looking forward to it ever since you wanted to do it. Any opportunity I get to talk with another Jaws fan, you can see how giddy it makes me. And I wore my, Jaws sweatshirt. I know
we love it. We love it. Yeah, I should have dug my Jaws Christmas jumper out, but I didn't. I should have done that. Why didn't I think of that?
Oh, right. It's a jumper, right? That's
no, I should have dug mine out. So maybe we'll have to re-record all this again, just me wearing a Jaws jumper. No, don't worry, we won't.
Okay. Well, now let's see. In England, you say Happy Christmas, right? Not Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas.
No, we can do both. That's not a problem.
Okay. Well, Merry Christmas and Happy Christmas and everything. And thank you so much. And Merry Christmas to all the Jaws fanatics out there.
Lovely. Thanks, Judy. And Merry Christmas to you and yours as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Guys, thanks so much for watching. Please consider liking, commenting and sharing the video, subscribing to the channel and clicking those all important notifications. For more great Jaws content, visit thedailyjaws.com.